What's up, Titterinos, and welcome back to the Game Addicts podcast. It's been a minute. This is episode 138. I'm your player one, Brando, and joining me here today is our best bud, our good and friend, our one and only Tyler. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great.
Dude, thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm sorry for cutting you off there.
No problem.
But I'm just so excited to have you on, man. It's been a while since I've talked to you about some games.
Yeah, well, I mean, this has probably been my biggest, or not my biggest, my busiest summer on record. It feels like between school starting up and how much I worked over especially the tail end of the summer, and then we're trying to get a lot of family stuff done and out of the way before, like trips and stuff like that, before it gets cold and miserable here in Indiana again. So I'm glad that we could finally kind of peg down a day, especially before you get busier here coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I've got a kid coming in like a week because we've moved up the date. We're now scheduled to be induced on October 12th. The due date was the 20th. Everything that I was going on in my brain for the last month, like the 20th, I'm going to get this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to pre-record some stuff. I have an episode of this show that I pre-recorded, and it's going to be a new series for the show. We've done retrospectives before, retrospectives on game series and on systems. Those aren't not going to stop. We're still going to go back to that and do some other systems and game series. I'm kind of thinking of it like this. A retrospective is a good overview. What are our favorite memories? What are our, what's the top 10 games of this system? What are the top selling games? What's the selling game? How many consoles did that sell? And that's still going to be great. But a while ago, we did an episode for a retrospective just for Final Fantasy VII, because me and Mike can talk about that ad nauseum. And that is almost like the precursor to what's this new series is going to be called Deep Dive. And that is like, I started there. I didn't take any notes for that one. I just got my stuff. We went through the characters. We kind of did the overview of the story. We did how was this made, the very first trailer, the tech demo. I actually showed the tech demo on that episode where they were making it for the N64. And you had the 3D polygon graphical characters from Final Fantasy VI. That they just showed this is kind of what we want it to look like. Well, for this episode coming up, I actually did it for Final Fantasy VIII because I just bought and beat that on the Switch, right? Because of the remastered. I took notes, 2.5 pages worth of notes, and I talked for an hour and a half. So I'm going to be doing some more of those because Mike's going through some personal stuff as well. Of course, I'm having a kid. He's going through some stuff, with his family, and we wish him all the best and love. And so it's not saying that he won't be around. We just don't know. It's going to be more difficult because of the stuff that's going on over here, stuff that's going on over here. It's kind of up in the air. So I definitely wanted to be upfront with all you guys who listen and watch this show that, I am going to switch to a bi-weekly. Of course, we didn't record last week, and that was kind of the start of it. I felt like if it's going to happen, we're just going to roll into it. We're going to have a good episode, a great episode today with Mike on our minds, and stay tuned because there's going to be some different stuff coming your way while things kind of change around here. My household's going to change. Things are still going to be happening. I'm still dedicated to the show, and I'm still going to be putting stuff out. It's just going to be a little different. So really looking forward to seeing what all kind of comes from that, because there's some cool stuff on the horizon. Tyler, it's been a while since you and me have talked some gaming. A lot of stuff has happened since E3. I bought and beat Link's Awakening. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. I bought and beat FF8 on the Switch. I talked about that for an hour and a half, so we don't need to really rehash that here. That's going to be in the next episode or whenever it goes up.
I really do look forward to watching or listening to that deep dive because, you and I have talked at length about our loves for Final Fantasy IX and how Final Fantasy VIII is kind of that unsung hero that is just underappreciated, not only in the franchise but in the genre. And I don't feel like a lot of people or enough people give that game credit
Hmm.
for the story that it told and the characters that it had.
Well,
So I look
yeah,
I really look forward to listening to that.
absolutely. I completely agree with you. Even though, as like when you talk about the main line, because I mean, Tactics is also on the PS1.
Right.
But if you just want to isolate 7, 8, and 9, I do think it is like out of the three, like the least good.
Yes.
I don't want to say worst because I really don't like saying that there is a really underscore bad Final Fantasy. I don't think that they've had that. They've had ones that I like more and ones that I like least. But 8 was one that I gravitated to when I was a kid. It was like kind of the second one for me. And yes, I love 9. 9 is absolutely great. It is the best Final Fantasy you're probably ever going to play. You're not getting any arguments from me on that. And 8 has its issues. It has a lot of issues. They try to do a lot of really cool things. Some of it kind of works. Some of it kind of battles with itself. But if you know how to play it and you know how to do it, it's a fun game. And it's a game that if you put a little bit of work and some grind and certain aspects, because it's different. It's different than the other Final Fantasies. You don't go out there grinding battles. You do something else. Yeah, you mean you can just sit there and enjoy the story, and that's exactly what I did. I kind of had my review mode on more this time around. I was still enjoying it, but I'm like being a little nitpicky, especially when it comes to a release like a remastered. Because I don't know if you know this. On the console, I'm talking PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, you only get 3 cheats. You get times 3 speed up. You get God mode, essentially. It's where you take no damage and you always have a limit break. Okay, cool. And then you get no encounters, which you already get in that game. You can get it, and it works the exact same way. So anywhere that you go in the game that uses the exact same ability as that, where it's like, okay, hey, that ability doesn't work here. Yeah, it's the same thing. So I was a little disappointed because then the Steam version got all items, all abilities, all mastered level for GFs, all cards. It's like, man, it's like, okay, so you guys made a times 3 version where I can grind faster. Essentially, this is what they have done. But Nate Phillips comments on Mad Love blessing his pod, my friends. We are 138. Thank you so much, Nate, for checking out this episode of the podcast here at 138. So I bought Link's Awakening, just like I had told you, and I bought Final Fantasy 12 for the Switch.
Oh, you did?
I did. That is not the only game I've never finished, but one of the very few. I never got it on the PS2 until I started collecting. I was really turned off by it when I first played it on the PS2. As a purist, I snubbed my nose at it. This trash. And
when in reality, it's actually one of the better games of kind of that period in time of Final Fantasy, because I'm one of the people, that unpopular opinion guy. I think all of the 13 games and spinoffs, I think those are awful.
Well, you're not alone in that. I don't think that's necessarily an unpopular opinion, because until 13, 8 was considered the worst, and then 13 came out. And from what I understand, 15 is kind of mixed. There's people who love it, and there's people who don't like it. But it's not getting the hate that 13 got. Yeah. 12 kind of flew under the radar because it kind of came out in that cusp of end of PS2 life, just like God of War 2 or something like that. It was like right there at the very end, and right when the PS3 was coming out. And it's funny because you would think I would be into it, having had just played Knights of the Old Republic, and how Final Fantasy 12 is very similar to that in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like,
except a lot prettier.
It's a lot prettier. Yeah, it's also smoother. And so since I've been playing 12 a little bit on the Switch, and I'm trying not to just I'm going into this with a fresh face, and I'm enjoying it so far. But what have you been playing? It's been a while since we talked about what you have been playing. It's so
Man,
enlighten me.
I I have been playing one thing and one thing only, and that is Horizon Zero Dawn.
You finally got to it.
hmm
Awesome. That is still in my back catalog.
Um, so I got it a couple months back. Actually, it was during E3. I got it during the flash sale that Sony had. I got it for $10. You know, I don't like buying things, especially games. I don't like buying them digitally. But I could have spent $40, $30 to $40 on the physical copy of the complete edition, or spend $10 on a game that at launch I didn't really have any interest in.
Okay.
So I started playing it and I won't spoil anything for you, but because that is a game that is very dependent on you not being spoiled for all the big moments to mean anything. But I did essentially all of the side missions and like errands and collectibles and stuff. I did that 100% before I finished the main story. And then I'm right on the cusp of finishing the main story. I went and did the expansion, and I'm about to finish that. I just about beat the expansion last night after doing all of its additional stuff. So once I finish the expansion, I'll pop over and then finish the main game and finally check that big box off my back catalog.
Hell yeah. I bought that actually last Black Friday. I picked it up. I think I picked that up. Detroit Become Human. And something else. Man, what was the other game I picked up? I know I picked up 3 because I ended up getting them all for like $30 or $40. I think Detroit had just dropped down to like 20, and then I got Horizon. Oh, it was Uncharted Lost Legacy. Yep. I got that Horizon and then Detroit, and I paid $40 for all of it.
Yeah,
and,
that's not bad at all.
Yeah, that was like a GameStop deal or something. But dude, yeah, I want to play it. I really do. But after beating 8, I'm still in that Final Fantasy mode, and I saw that was on the Switch. So check us out. I got Final Fantasy 12 for $35, brand new.
Okay.
And it's normally $50. And I checked. I was just looking online, and at Walmart.com, it was $34.99. So I'm like, okay. So for my birthday, I went to go pick that up. Well, they also had Link's Awakening for $50, and they have 1 copy left.
That's destiny right there.
So I said, oh, I didn't know that was only $50. I thought it was going to be a normal $60 game. She goes, we only got 1 left. Why don't you grab it? And I'm like, don't tell me that. You cannot tell me that because I don't have the self-control to say no. I can't stand up to you, woman, when you're trying to give me what I want.
Right. Well, and Skylar, you know, my birthday's coming up at the end of this month, and Skylar is notorious for saying that I'm the hardest person to buy stuff for in all of humanity. When every year at like the tail end of the summer, her and I sit down and I legitimate on pen and paper, like in a spiral bound notebook, I have her write out a list of the item or items with the price and where you can buy it, like in order of importance, you know, most important to least important. And we were talking about some of that stuff here recently. Man, I almost had a mini stroke there. But you're talking about these Switch pickups, and I think if I don't get it for my birthday, maybe I just might buy it for myself. I think Octopath Traveler might be the next game that I purchase. You know, Mike hyped it up so much at launch, and then, you know, I've watched so much of it, and I just really, you know, I was really ecstatic when I got my Switch for Christmas last year, but I just don't. It's still the same case as when we did the backlog episode, you know, way back when. My backlog just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I only have so many Switch games. So rather than buy more Switch games, I'm trying to make it through my backlog. So I feel like, especially approaching the holidays when the weather's going to be shitty and, you know, I'm going to be spending even more time inside. I think now is the time for games like Octopath Traveler, the last Mario that came out, Link's Awakening especially. Um,
Do you play the
so
Switch in handheld mode at all?
I have. When I played Let's Go Pikachu, I played it almost exclusively in handheld mode.
Because you didn't want to do the motion stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really frustrated me. I docked it, and I got my Joy Cons out, and I'm like, okay, let's catch some pocket demons, and I mean, it's like Vietnam flashbacks to the Wii. Like, I should not have to do motion control with everything.
Yeah.
That's been one of my biggest gripes with Nintendo of the last 3 generations anyway, from the Switch back to the Wii, and uh, we've got the next Pokemon game coming up, and I'll probably get that maybe the beginning of December or something like that. Try and catch a sale, but most of the games that I've wanted to play, like this quarter, so to speak, like Gears 5, I got it from Games Pass. I beat it. It was fun. Um, the multiplayer is as infuriating as ever. Outer Worlds is coming up. That's going to be a Game Pass deal, so I don't have to buy that. So I think this holiday anyway, I'm going to focus on the Switch.
Well, if you ever have the want to play the Switch in handheld mode, I got something to recommend to you. And I don't know if I've told you about it before, but I am singing the praises. And this isn't a sponsored video. I'm not getting paid a dime for this, but I love it this much because this thing changes how the system feels in handheld mode, and that's called the Satisfy Switch Grip. And you can go to Satisfy, that is SATISFYE.com, and you can get a bundle or just buy the grip. And it's $26 for the grip. And what it does, it rests the Switch right in there, and it makes it feel very, very similar to a Xbox style controller with where your thumbs rest. So you have one, and it's geared towards how the Joy-Con's thumbs are. So you have one like on the left-hand side that's kind of straight down, and your thumb rests right there, and the right one's at an angle, so your thumb is right there, and it's so much more ergonomic.
I'm looking at the website with the images and stuff right now. That looks great,
dude. It is awesome, and it's a game changer. For sure, if you have a Switch and like playing in handheld mode. They also just came out with ones for the Switch Lite, which that is a handheld. So, and what's cool is that the cases also allow you to have the system in the grip in the case. And the case that I bought, I got mine at Christmas last year, and I'm not sure if they still sell it. It seems like they do, the Elite Bundle, because I think I paid for that, and it was on sale because it had just come out. I got the Elite Bundle at Christmas for like $40, and then I also, since I was already spending $40, I also threw in the they have one for like the Joy-Cons. So like the little Switch dock controller grip that they give you when you're just sitting on your couch and then it's docked. They have one for those too to make those feel better if you don't have a Pro controller. And that one's only like $20 or $15, $20, something like that. But for the Elite Pro bundle, you get the case, you get joystick covers, which makes the joystick stick out a little bit more, and also have a concave, kind of like an Xbox controller, and they don't slide around. I've had mine on since I got them, and then also they has room in the case. Number one, for your games if you have a lot of games, and number two, underneath everything you can fit a little USB Type-C power dock or power charger, like a portable one, and it gives you a little USB-C cable in there to have it be charging your system like while you're traveling.
Yeah, this bundle and the Epic bundle both look incredible, and it doesn't look. When I look at third party or aftermarket, or however you want to label it, products like this, I always think back to like the Mad Catz and the what was the other one? Crane.
Pelican.
Pelican. Thank you. I always think back to like some of the stuff that I bought from them that was really, really good, but the majority of it was awful.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember you telling me about this last Christmas and how much you loved it, and I totally forgot about it.
I'm trying to find my Pelican controller. I've actually got some really cool third-party controllers. And I also have a really bad one for the N64. It's called Performance. Yeah. Performance was one of the other ones. If you were like a guest at somebody's house, or you were like the friend that showed up last, you got that controller. That was the man.
I've still got, so on my center console in my throne over here, I've got my original Pelican see-through PlayStation 2 like Pro Super Gaming 9000 controller that's wireless. Oh shit.
Game Shark. I found my
That's
Game Shark.
That's a Game Shark. But whenever I'm playing games and Ruby's hanging out with me, she's using that old Pelican PlayStation 2 controller. So we have fun with it.
Oh, here's a Pelican. This is a wireless GameCube Pelican controller that I found at Goodwill for $5.
I've got one of those, except it's see-through.
That was before I actually, went out and rebought. I should say rebought my. I have waterproof Uno cards in here.
Hell yeah! Save those for a rainy day.
I get it. Here I am live on the podcast, just shifting through my controller drawers. No, I have this one third-party controller, dude, and it's like a PS2 controller, but it's shaped like an NES controller, and it's a Mad Catz. And I can't remember. It's like the Retrocon or like or something like that. And it even had rumble. It had 2 sticks, and it looked. The 2 shoulder buttons were side by side, so it was really kind of shitty for that. So if you playing Metal Gear sucked on it, but like playing RPGs and that, I'm like, I love it. It's awesome. And now it doesn't work anymore because third party controllers suck. These, however, are molded. And these are not actual controllers. These just hold on to the grip. They grip onto the system and they grip onto the Joy-Cons. This is not the first time I've talked about it here on the podcast. This is not the first time I've dedicated 5 or 10 minutes to talking about how much this thing is awesome. And how, you mentioned the Epic Bundle. It's $85. It's like, wow, that's a lot. Well, what do you get, man? You get the actual full Switch grip. This is for the original Switch, not the Lite. You get 2 cases. You get the bigger case, which what I was talking about, the one that I have. And then you also get the smaller, a little bit more formative case. You also get the USB-C. You get 2 of them. You get USB-C to USB-C, and you get a USB-C to USB-A. You get 3 sets of thumbstick grips, or change, and you get the regular just Joy-Con controller. That's a lot of stuff to get for $85, and it is worth it. Holy crap, this thing. I love my Switch, and I would play it in handheld mode, like going over to Illinois on road trips, because my wife is like very like, I have to drive because, she has to drive because she gets very anxious when other people drive. So I just let her do it. I don't care. I'm going to sit over here with my Switch. Well, after an hour or 2 hours, man, your hand, trying to get that, you get that handheld cramp. There's no handheld cramp with this. You get a firm grip with it. It doesn't feel super odd or out of place. It feels like it belongs. By all means, come this Christmas, if you want to get some more games for your Switch and you're like, handheld mode, I want to deck that out. As I said, you don't have to get the big Epic Bundle. You could choose one of the smaller ones. And around Christmas time, they might have some sales going on.
And that's what I was gonna say. If I'll kind of keep it on my radar if I catch a sale. Even if it's a couple dollars.
I get emails too, so if I see something, I'll remember to send that your way, because they
yes, for sure.
Because they asked me, because I wasn't the first wave, because I think they started producing them in the summer of last year. I could be wrong about that, guys. But I saw that and like, oh, I want that, and then I kind of forgot about it. And then closer to Christmas, I'm like, oh, that one grip thing, what was that called? And I'm sitting there searching forever, and I finally found it. And it's funny because this year I have one of those too, one of those gaming things that I want to try and get, and I keep forgetting what the damn thing is called. And it's funny because 3 different times now I've gone searching like on like on YouTube, some of the gaming YouTubers like that I follow, and I'm like, all right, so what the hell was this thing called again? And because what this thing will do, it will take. I have in my game room in my setup, I have AV cables, regular AV yellow jack. I have S video, and I have component. And with my Elgato capture card, it only does HDMI, which is perfect for streaming games and looking directly at my computer screen. This is what's called the HD60, so it is perfect because there's no lag. In fact, I think it's the HD60S. There's like zero lag going. I can either look at my computer screen or look over here, and there's nothing. There's like no input lag or anything like that. But I can't hook up any of my old school consoles. This device, literally, I can take any one of those systems I have over there, take them, bring them over here, hook them up, and I can be streaming within minutes. And to me, for a guy who has a collection and for a guy who has a lot of older systems, at least 8 hooked up into my old school TV, dude, that's a win. That is a big win.
Absolutely.
And I was telling her all about it, and she's looking at me like, okay, why do I care? I'm like, because you should care. Because I care. And I'm like, and because you start talking to me about all of these things like cameras and crafts, and you just go on and on and on, and I don't know about that stuff, and I'm looking at you like you're speaking French. You know, so yeah, I'm gonna have to find the name of it again, because it really does bug me that I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this, and you know what? I actually made a list, but I got a new phone and I lost my list. I lost the list of stuff that I actually had, because I have pre-orders. I have FF7 pre-ordered. I have Last of Us pre-ordered.
If I said the name of this, would you remember it?
Try.
Is it the Retro Tink?
Retro Tink. Yes.
Oh yeah.
You found it. You found it.
Lil Papa takes care of you.
Thank you, buddy. I was actually low key trying to find it. I'm like, I know one of these guys talked about it. Retro Tink is awesome, and I think V2 just came out. Version 2 came out, and they kind of made it a little bit better than, because I think the original one came out last summer, and then I started seeing videos on it like back in June, and they were like 1 year ago. You know, I'm like, what the hell is this thing? And it's a godsend for what I want to do.
As somebody who's an electrician, looking at the breakdown of this little Retro Tink unit or Retro Tink unit is pretty cool. It's actually really, really smart, and I'm surprised that no one. I mean, because I've seen for a long time, like when I lost my AV cables for my Wii U, and I went on the hunt to get new AV cables for it. One of the things that I looked at was getting one of the AV to HDMI, converter basically. And they're like $20, and they're all junk. And I just happened to get a hookup at Disc Replay and get some new AV or component cables, But this little unit is incredible.
Yeah, I think it outputs everything into kind of a 480p. Yes. Okay. So what it does, it's an affordable video processor and high quality analog video to digital with HDMI, converting 240p 480i into 480p. And what that's going to do is that, most TVs, and then, of course, this device will read 480p as a, HDMI. And then you just put that right into your Streamlabs and you're ready to go. And I've seen, people test it out and and here's the thing. So this is like $100. You can buy it from CastlemaniaGames.com, and it's $105 plus shipping. And of course, please note that they make these in batches. So when you order it, you almost certainly are pre-ordering it, and then when they finally get to their date, then they make how many orders they have, and then they ship them out. They do tell you when that is, though.
I'm on their actual website right now, and it says The RetroTink 2X. If you buy the one without the HDMI cable, it's $99
Mm-hmm.
and it ships in 2 to 3 days. The RGB to YPB PR transcoder is 2 weeks, and then the ultimate one is 1 to 2 weeks. So they've already got the lead time on there. Like that's good business
Yeah.
to get that out up front.
Yeah, and I know that when these first came out, they were really hard to get a hold of because they got really popular really fast. Because
Right.
the alternative to this is using something called the Framemeister, and that's made in Japan, and they're about $400 now.
Wow.
They have gone up so much in the last 10 years because what they do is they take all these different. Now, I will say the Framemeister is better than this device. You do get what you pay for. But you are still overpaying for it because back when they were first like, hey, you guys should get a Framemeister, they were like $150, $180, and when they take all these different signals, AV, S video, component, and they has a processor within it. It's like a little box. It's this whole thing. It has a processor in it that outputs it to SCART, which is the European high-end quality signal. And then, of course, you get SCART to HDMI. And then you take that out into your TV. And if there's a channel that I follow, and I'm sure a lot of other guys do, it's called My Life in Gaming. And they have a whole series about how to get the best video quality out of this console. And they'll go through every single one. They'll show you side-by-side comparisons. This is it doing this. This is it with the Framemeister. This is it with they go, like, my wife hates it because it's so boring. But to me, a guy who has a game room and has, I have an old TV, it's not going to work forever. So I'm thinking of, like, what can I do at some other point to play these. I want to play the games on the consoles. I don't want to just emulate. I can emulate. I can do any of that anytime I want.
Right.
But no, it's
not the same.
No, it isn't. No emulation is going to capture anything 100% perfect.
And
so
sometimes you just want to sit down on your couch after a hard day and bust out some retro Aladdin and just get mad and destroy your TV. I mean, it just happens.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see that they just re-released that?
I did.
Yeah. Crazy. Now, they also released the Super Nintendo games for the Switch. So I played and beat Star Fox already on that. I started Zelda, but I haven't beat it yet.
Not too long ago, I actually busted out my Nintendo 64. It's right over here in my little cubby of consoles of yesteryear.
It'd be really neat if they did a classic version of that.
Oh yeah, it was the first time. I think this is my original Nintendo 64. It's the first time that I sat down and beat Star Fox from start to finish.
Hell yeah!
I've never done it, without putting the controller down, and I just went from one stage to the next, and it was really fun. I forgot how short of a game it was. But I mean, that is like one of my most treasured games from my childhood, because you get a couple friends sitting around the couch, and it's like, all right, man, let's play some Star Fox.
Hell yeah! Then you battle each other with that multiplayer thing they had.
Yeah. And
then you got like, no, I picked the tank. What'd I do that for? Crap.
Every time, accidentally pick the tank.
Oh, man. So while we're talking old school stuff, I did buy Link's Awakening. I did beat it last weekend. And, man, this game, I really wish, they've really been on a roll with these Game Boy remakes. They did the Samus Returns, the Metroid 2 remake for the 3DS. Then they did this. And they kind of did Pokemon Red with Pokemon Go or Let's Go.
Right.
Kind of, But, man, no, this game was awesome. It really was. What I really liked about it is how they utilize the extra buttons. And how, because in the original Link's Awakening, you had just two buttons. You had, like, you had attack and you had your item. You had to keep swapping back and out, just trying to change your stuff around. Now you have the Y and X button are both your items, and then you have, your B button slash and your A is, action. And now you can press, like for arrows and bombs, you can press the Y and X button together and shoot bomb arrows. Which I thought was really cool. And it made it a lot better because then you can put the little feather like up onto like the X button or Y button, whichever one you wanted, really. And you could use that just for the jump. And that's what I did. I had that for the dedicated jump button, and then I would have another item selected. So it's a really, really good game. Really good get for about $50 or so. Yeah, so like it's probably not going to go down in price anytime soon. It's probably not going to go down. So these holidays, it's a good game to pick up, and it's a game that you could just kind of like go in, play through. They made the game so cute. They've made Link, and they got these little dot eyes. They look like little toys. My wife's like, "This game looks so cute." I'm like, "Yeah, it does."
I picked up Wind Waker for the Wii U, man, around Christmas time when I was still at Subaru.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually never played it, so I don't even know if I'm ever going to. I would imagine that we'll eventually get a Wind Waker, version on the Switch. If we don't already.
We don't have it yet. Dick says greetings from Podcastrophe. Hello, Dick.
Hello.
Dave says hi. Are you guys watching our
hi.
podcast on your podcast?
Hi, Dave. Hugs. But I've seen since Link's Awakening came out, one of the things that I've heard a lot as far as rumors from Nintendo is that we're going to get a Switch version of Skyward Sword.
I've heard that as well, especially since you can do the little, motion stuff with the Joy-Cons. That would be awesome, and I think it's well deserved.
That was a title that on the Wii I never got to play. I watched it a lot, and it was one of those where, I don't want to play another game that's entirely reliant on motion control.
That was my big problem with it. Everything else about it I liked. In fact,
that's what I've heard.
I tried to get past it, and I just haven't been able to.
Mm-hmm. If I was going to wish list anything, as far as the franchise of Zelda going forward, I think you and myself and anyone that's a fan of modern or retro Zelda, either way, I don't think it really matters. We're all really looking forward to that Breath of the Wild sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But I would really like a Twilight Princess remaster because even and I've said it on the show before, even though Breath of the Wild was incredible, Twilight Princess, man, if they would have stopped making Zelda games with that one, I mean, that would have been the crown jewel for sure, in my opinion. So I'm really happy to see that Nintendo is staying, that is continuing the trend of keeping the bellows stoked on the Zelda franchise, because it's one that I don't think you should ever let the fire go out.
Yeah, I mean, we did get Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HDs for the Wii U. Mm-hmm. Of course, the Wii U, I mean, unfortunately, it wasn't a very successful system. It's pretty cheap to collect for right now. Very cheap. So, like, if that's your thing, go for it. No, I hope both of those games do get Switch ports. That would be awesome. Of course, that means that, there's no reason, really, to leave anything exclusive to the Wii U. Yes. At this point, especially with how successful the Switch has been.
Totally agree.
As I said, they remade Link's Awakening for God's sake. That game is now like the original Game Boy game was like, wow, you did this all in a Game Boy game. That's kind of cool. Now it's like they've taken that and whoop, and it's so much fun to play.
Awesome.
And without a shadow of a doubt, like that's been a highlight of the year. That and RE2 remake for sure. Both remakes, like go figure, right? Those have been highlights for me this year in gaming. Of course, we still have a few other big games to come out. I don't know if I'm getting Death Stranding at launch. Probably not. I do plan on getting it maybe for Christmas. So there's that. I'm also going to be paying off FF7, Last of Us, Cyberpunk. Those are gonna get paid off at Christmas or tax time because I have those pre-ordered as well. But speaking of The Last of Us, we got, I believe it was last week, we got a big thing. It was the PlayStation State of Play. I tried to stream it right here on this channel. Tried to stream it. My stream did not work. I sat down here with 30 seconds to go. Right here, click, click, click. Type, 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 type. Go live. An error has occurred. I don't have time to troubleshoot an error. We're trying to live stream this, and then it was already starting, so I just sat here in huffy puffy for like the next 20 minutes until they pleased me in ways that only a game like The Last of Us can please me. What did you think of that trailer?
Well, I mean, it's definitely got one of the hardest opens of a video game trailer that I've seen for a long time. Ellie, hold on, I got dog barking. Skylar, dog. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
But since the original the original teaser, you know, with her and the guitar and Joel coming in the room, it feels like damn near a decade ago that we got that teaser. To finally, you know, I got off of work and I was like, oh boy, I'm going to finally get to watch this trailer. And the tone, I think for a lot of us with that teaser, the tone was kind of in question. Like, is this just kind of, is this trying to get us in the mood to put us in the right mindset and be immersed in this hell that Ellie and the surviving humans have to live in, and then you get that hard open from the most recent trailer, and they definitely set the tone for sure.
They imply that she gets beaten, raped. I mean, yeah. I don't know if she does, but one would assume, you know, we lose her friend Dina, we have to lose her along the way,
right?
I mean, that's got that, and then what they do to her is probably a good reason why she's out there to kill these motherfuckers. I mean, right. there's no other like clear statement than that, for sure.
Well, and especially too, like one of the biggest questions that I had from the trailer was, I get who they are, but who really are they? You know what I mean? Like, is this just a group of people, or, I mean, is this maybe some fireflies that are seeking retribution for what Joel's decision, the impact that has had on humanity. I really look forward to figuring out if there is more to the story than this group of people just being, you know, a group of bad people.
Okay, so from what I understand, because that the next day or the following day, it was Outbreak Day, which that's the day in The Last of Us that the outbreak began. So a lot of the press got to play a 4-hour demo of the game. It was 2 different sections. It was one section, but both things that we saw kind of in the trailer. We saw like her riding along in the snow, and you know, you're off with Dina doing a scavenge type thing. And then the other part takes place in Seattle. And what they've revealed is that there are multiple factions in this game that you're going to meet. They're like, the people who did this to you are one faction. Then there's another faction, and then there's a faction in the Seattle area. And so there's going to be different groups that we meet, and they're going to have different things going on with them. From what I can understand, Ellie decides to get revenge, right? And she's like, no, screw this. They're all going to. And what I really liked about the trailer is that they brought back Tommy, you know, Joel's brother. You know, he was like the next person that you saw, and it's the same dude, and he's just like trying to talk her out of it. It's like, you don't want to do this. You don't know how big that group is. You don't know what they've got. You know, there's so many unknowns. She's like, you're not going to stop me.
Well, and one of the things that I really liked about seeing Tommy is, I mean, seeing Ellie age in this time gap, you know, it's noticeable. Seeing Tommy and Joel, seeing how they have changed in this time gap. Tommy and Joel both look rough.
Well, and as you said, think about this hell world that they live in, and how that has to age people fast. You know?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
just the stress alone.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and they seem to be having a really good thing now. All like 5 years later, the community that Tommy was building in Jackson, they've really grown, and they have a lot more people. And what was hinted at the E3 thing that we got, where like that one dude's like, your old man laid into me pretty good today. Like, oh yeah. And they hinted again just during that Outbreak Day that Ellie and Joel kind of have a strained relationship. You know, they are not necessarily getting along. I wouldn't say that they hate each other by any, like, but they haven't said why yet. And I can only assume that there is still some resentment. I don't think Ellie bought for 1 second the lie that Joel told her. You know, because that's the ending of the first game. You get, like, just look in her eyes, this gaze. It's almost teary-eyed. And she just says, okay. Like, all right, that's how. And of course, then it's up for interpretation at that point for how does she believe him, or is she just like, okay, this is how we're going to be then, huh? In fact, there was a deleted scene that they never ended up capturing, I don't think. It never got rendered for the game. There was like an epilogue with Joel and Ellie. That if you ever go back and watch the One Night Only, where they reenact scenes live on stage in front of people with the actors that play Joel and Ellie and Tess, it's really cool. It's actually a really cool thing because like they just have a few props on stage and it's just them in character acting it out in front of an audience, and it's some of the big moments, you know, some of the big moments in the game that they do it with. And they went back and they did this special ending where Ellie's in her room and Ellie is, you know, alone, and Joel knocks on the door, and she's kind of like, you know, whatever, you know, with him. And then he goes, oh yeah, I brought you. Joel was like saying he went out on patrol with this girl, with this gal. And he goes, I think Tommy's trying to get me hitched, you know. She's like, she had your kind of humor. Told me one of those puns. He's like, I think you kind of like her. Okay. All right. You know, he's like, all right, so this ain't going nowhere. He goes, I got you something, by the way. And he pulls out the guitar. She goes, what's this? He goes, it's a guitar. She goes, I know that it's a guitar, Joel. What are you doing? He goes, I told you I'd teach you. And then her mood kind of changes. And, you know, she's kind of touched that he remembered just something that he said in passing, you know?
Right.
And then he's getting ready to leave. And she goes, so what was the joke? And he stops like in the doorway. He goes, huh? He goes, the joke she told you, what was it? And he goes, oh, it was, why don't we eat clocks? She's like, I don't know. Why? He goes, it's too time consuming. And then she kind of chuckles, and then they say bye. Yeah. And it was like this. I like the scene. I thought it was really cool for fans of the series. I'm glad that wasn't in the game because I kind of like the way the game ended. But I like because it kind of tells their relationship is strained, and I definitely want to know why. And honestly, if I could be completely honest with you, I really hope that the Fireflies are freaking done. And that after that whole thing, they completely dissolved and fell apart, maybe splintered into different groups. And that the only thing that we see of them left are their little spray-painted logos, just as a reminder. And that the real big issue with that, him taking her away from them and killing all of them, is the issue between those two about that. That's the crux of it. And it's just how those two are there, or, you know, kind of maybe at odds over that because of how much she wanted it to be her turn to help you. If it's going to be her turn, let me do something good with it. Right. And that's why I really liked the end of this trailer. When they finally revealed Joel, as you said, he looked rough. And he's not trying to talk her out of it. Just like in that teaser we got all the way back when with her and the guitar. He's not talking her out of it. He's just, you know, in that trailer, in that teaser, he was like, are you really going to go through with this? And then she tells him she's going to find and kill every last one of them. And then here she's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, you think I'd really let you go through with this on your own? He's not there to stop her. He's there to make sure that she doesn't get killed in the process. Right. And that to me speaks volumes because it tells me he knows where she is. He's felt what she's felt. And he knows She's not. She's hell bent, and he's not. Nothing he says is gonna stop her.
Mm-mm.
No, and I absolutely love that about the character.
When I think especially too, like, with the way the original Last of Us opens, and then you build this relationship. Ellie becomes Joel's surrogate daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Joel in the trailer, when you go through that entire journey with Joel and Ellie, you realize that Joel will stop at nothing to prevent the loss of his daughter ever again. He never wants to relive that the night that we get to play through in the opening game.
Yeah.
He'll never let it happen again.
Well, and
So
that's why he's
if
so
going on this adventure with Ellie
Mhm.
is what he has to do to make sure that never happens. That's what it's going to be.
And that
even though he's old and grizzled and kind of a silver fox now. I mean, I bet Joel can still throw a punch for sure.
Oh, I bet. Now, see, that's also why he was so reluctant to get close to her.
Mm-hmm.
Because what it says 20 years later, right?
Right. Right.
And what was 20 years later? It's his birthday. His daughter was killed on his birthday.
Right.
Or like the following morning or whatever it was, however late it was. And so that's a reminder he gets every single year. I mean, you would relive it anyway, but the fact that that's tied to something that's like, wow, that's my birthday. And
Mm-hmm.
you relive it. And he wants to be alone. When we see him 20 years later in the first game, he's alone. He's laying in bed. Tess comes back and he's like, where you been? She's like, you wanted to be alone, remember? Yeah. Okay, whatever. Don't want to talk about it. And then over the course of the game, his tone with Ellie changes completely. And here we are, as you said, he's never going to go through that again, ever. It doesn't matter what it takes, because guess what? He's already been the bad guy. And he has the capability to go back there, just like he stabbed that dude in that kneecap. And that's what I loved about his character, is that, a lot of people are saying, he's the good guy, he's the bad guy. And I really don't think there really is a good guy or a bad guy in The Last of Us. Not really. Because Joel was doing, to save his daughter, Ellie, the same thing that I would do to save my kids. If people had taken my kids and I knew that they had taken them, I would, I don't know what I would do to get them back. It probably
whatever you had to.
Exactly. And I loved that, just for that moment in that scene with those two guys that he's interrogating. You see how dark and how bad Joel was willing to go, and has probably gone in the past just to stay alive.
Oh yeah.
And so that's a place he knows exactly. It fits him like a glove, Even though for the majority of the game we really don't see that part of him, it comes out. It comes out when her life is threatened.
Okay, grab it. We got a special guest momentarily.
Oh, that's cool. My special guest, he didn't make an appearance this week. I thought he would have, but I guess he's already in bed. He must have lost that privilege tonight. Maybe he's being a little shit.
Maybe. But I think, the voice acting cast of The Last of Us with Ashley Johnson and the rest of the cast, they have all not 100% made these characters their lives, but I know for a fact, at least as far as Ashley Johnson goes, I mean, she has devoted herself 100% to the character of Ellie. And one of the things that I really, really have enjoyed about Joel and Ellie's relationship is the fact that Ellie knows that she can't be infected. Joel and Tommy and everyone else constantly has to worry about doing everything they can to not, become infected.
Yeah.
And then put everybody else's lives in danger. So I really like that even though Ellie is 5 years older, we're still seeing that hothead, that she's brash and she's like a piano string wound too tight. Just one more turn and she's gonna snap. And in the trailer and everything else that we know of so far, the piano string finally snapped, and there's no putting it back together, at least right away.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I'm super, super excited.
Yeah. What you said about them making the characters like their own, they totally have. They absolutely have. And it's like it's even to a point where like I remember watching like the making of, and they talk about this one scene. It's the scene that really like cemented these characters for them, and it's the scene where Joel and Ellie are talking inside the ranch house when they finally bring up Sarah, and Ellie's like, everybody in my life has left me or died. Everybody except for you. And like they tried filming this scene a couple times, and they just couldn't get it. For some reason, they just couldn't get the feeling. And there was kind of the frustration setting in. You know, I mean, this is like the third or fourth time they've done the take, and it's like, I don't know, try this, try that, and they just kind of like started. They did the scene, but they also just kind of winged it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ashley Johnson threw in the everyone has left, everyone has died or left, everyone fucking except for you, and then she shoves him. And then that moment just kind of created this tension between the characters, right? Right. That scene's kind of like, it's sad and it's uncomfortable to watch for all the right reasons, because it's these two characters at this crossroads. It's like, she goes, like, you're fucking leaving me after everything we've been through, everything. You just want to dump me off. And it's funny because then it's after that scene that he decides to carry on.
Right.
And then they're a little bit different with each other after that. Like, all the little like dialogue stuff at the university, that's a lot of it's optional, and they're just chatting. They're just talking about life and college and what you do and party and find yourself. What'd you want to be, huh? When you grew up, like, what did you want to be? A singer? No, get the fuck out of here. Sing for me. I don't think so. I love it. Their whole dynamic changes, and I can't wait to see how it changes for this one. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Joel's gonna die." I hope he doesn't. I hope both of these characters make it out, and we get to see the next evolution of those two characters together. Because it would make sense for him to die, sure, making sure that she fulfills it. But at the same time, I would like to see this be just an extension of those characters, and them to do like not the thing you would expect, like, oh, the typical, okay, now Joel's helping her out, and then her doing this is going to result in him dying. It's like, I kind of hope not.
Yeah. Well, and a story like that, especially with characters like this, is so predictable. And I think Naughty Dog has set the precedent that they don't write predictable material. At least things that aren't blatantly obvious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I honestly would really like to see, kind of along the same vein of Captain America and Endgame, let the man retire. He has lived a hard life, the definition of a hard life, and if he, his whole goal getting back to Tommy with Ellie, was to provide her a safe place to live, and for himself a safe place to live and take care of his his little brother. And as much as I'm excited to see Joel and Ellie's relationship continue to play out, I would like to see more Tom. Because now that they have been together for a long, continuous period of time, how are Joel and Tommy getting along? Are they still butting heads? How are Ellie and Tommy getting along? Is Ellie a little bit too abrasive for Tommy to kind of grasp and control? I mean, I'm sure that some of Joel has rubbed off on Ellie, and that's, you've already got Ellie the way that she is. You start you start salt baying in a little bit of Joel's personality, and that's a pretty abrasive person.
Did you watch any of the gameplay stuff?
I watched a little bit, just a couple minutes.
So things that they've added to the gameplay is that you now leave a scent, and dogs can track you. So when you have hearing mode on, listening mode, you'll actually see your trail, and that way you can try to move around and get where you need to go. The dogs are pretty sensitive. They will pick up on you pretty quick, and they actually react to the humans and the dogs will react if you kill either one. So like if you kill the owner, the dog will be confused and sad that his owner got shot or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then likewise, if you kill the dog, they'll be like, "Oh my god!" You know, they'll react. And also one thing that they added in, which I think is really cool, like really really cool. When you kill somebody, one of the other people in the area, they don't just yell "Got her" or something like that. They yell out the name of the person you just killed.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, so like there was one where she threw like a napalm thing, you know, like a Molotov, and this dude got lit up, and this lady yelled from the other room, "Jared!" So now they're giving a name to every single person that you kill.
So it makes it carry more weight.
Mm-hmm. And it's like that's such a small thing that.
Oh yeah, but in reality, it's such a big thing. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. It's tough. It's kind of part of why I have enjoyed Horizon here lately. Is there's such an emphasis on stealth, and it's not. I mean, you can play it however you want,
mm-hmm.
but if you're a little bit stealthy when you need to, it just makes quality of life so much better. And The Last of Us was no different. Uncharted was no different. And the little bit of gameplay that I did get to watch, some of it was featured in the trailer. Seeing her sneak around with her bow and
she can go prone
like
now. She can go prone, and everything that you could do, kneeling or standing, like throwing stuff or aiming, you can do prone, which is very. And she can now jump. She's a little bit more agile than Joel. That's kind of how they advertised it, So like the first game was a lot of you being Joel helping her get around, moving a ladder, helping her across this lake, whatever.
Right.
Now she can jump. It almost looked like they took a lot of what worked for Uncharted, and brought it over. Slid this over. Let's make her jump. Let's let her grab that. Maybe not make it so much parkour, but make it to where jump across this thing, or climb up and jump over something. And I think that lends credence to when you're panicked, when you're running away from something. And there was some really cool stuff like how you can transition into like melee weapons while you're fighting somebody. Like she killed somebody and hit somebody and then grabbed their weapon and like finish them off. It looked like a struggle, and I'm very excited for that because obviously while she's going to be a badass, it's a little bit different carrying those punches from a guy like Joel who was like in his 50s, early 50s or late 40s in the first game, coming in with a big wallop. No doubt she's gonna take a hit, but carry weight with that. But there's just something different about Joel. That was always I loved getting into fisticuffs with people because he was totally non-finessed, and it was ugly, but it always got the job done. And I just like he would take a dude's face and mash it into the side table, or beat him down and stomp their face in, and then you'd hear Ellie, "Holy shit, Joel!"
And in reality, it needed to be focusing on Joel going.
Yeah, exactly. But
my pacemaker.
What I love though is that she paid attention to all that.
Oh yeah,
he taught her how to kill. That journey across the country. You telling me she didn't pick up anything? She did by the end of the first game.
Oh, you know. I think it'll be really interesting. Carrying over the emphasis on stealth. Through the trailer and what little gameplay that I did get to watch, a lot of it a lot of the shots were of Ellie getting hurt, and every time that she got hurt in those images or that the string of images, there was so much emphasis on this legitimately fucking hurts. You should feel bad for me right now, and the level of realism that you're getting, not just from Ellie, obviously all the characters, but some of those, like I saw a couple like breakdowns of freeze frames and still images from parts of the trailer, and you look at her body language based on a wound that she has with her facial expression and like individual like wrinkles and like if I frown or if I grimace, individual little wrinkles that legitimately should be there. So I can't stress enough how excited I am about this. Um, you know, I feel like we only talk about Naughty Dog when something big like this happens. When in reality, they're one of the few studios that I feel like should be talked about all the time.
I completely agree. I completely agree. They have consistently put out quality products for like the last 10 years.
Oh yeah.
It's nuts because and they're also very consistent. They're very consistent and they work hard. And it shows. It shows in every single title that they put out. Uncharted 4 is still one of the best looking PS4 games, and this game blows that game visually out of the water. It's nuts how much they've grown, and I cannot wait to see what this game looks like on a PS5.
Oh yeah.
Even bolstered up even more. It's like I'm gonna play it when it comes out, and then I'm gonna play it again when I get the PS5, right?
Well, and when you and I first got acquainted, that was one of the first things that we talked about when you found out that I had a PlayStation. Did you play The Last of Us Remaster on PlayStation? And when I got my console, I think I bought the remaster pretty much as soon as I could. And I unfortunately did not get to experience that journey on the PlayStation 3, so but it was so enjoyable because I went into the remaster with no expectations whatsoever, and Skylar can attest to it. Every now and then I'll sit down on a weekend and just bust it out, from start to finish, basically in a day. I'll play it all day and all night, and just there's so many impactful moments in the first game. The story is so well written, and everything that they did mechanically and graphically and story-wise in the first game, from what we've seen graphic-wise and mechanic-wise, they've doubled down on it. So there's no reason to believe that they didn't double down on the story elements as well.
Exactly. And the fact that they're going to make the game bigger, but they're not making it open world, that speaks volumes to me, because now you're going to have a lot more area like this. They showed up that little combat area, and almost every single one of those houses that are in this area, you can go into them and find stuff in them, or hide in them, or try to use those to your advantage when you're in combat. And you'll be rewarded for that by finding some stuff you wouldn't have normally found if you didn't search every house or go in here. It makes it a little bit more realistic too, because if you were just rolling down my street in post-apocalyptic Last of Us world, you'd be looking in houses. You'd be looking, trying to scrounge, and there might be a house you might not be able to get into, but you'd probably be able to get into most of them.
Well, and it also increases the risk. You never know. You crawl through a window and the house may be full of infected. You don't know, or it might have a bunch of people sleeping in it.
Yeah, exactly. And how are they going to react in this kind of world where some dude or gal just kind of drops in on them? So. Absolutely, man. I'm so excited for this, and I'm so excited that it's not that far away. We literally only have like 4 months or 5 months until we get there, and that's going to be here before we know it. With everything going on, with me having a kid, with the holidays, it's like the holidays are just going to kind of be over, and we're going to be past that, and it's going to start going, okay, life's here, and then it's going to be like Last of Us. And literally a week later for me, FF7 Remake. And I'm so excited for that too.
I will tell you, as a person who loves Final Fantasy VII, but not in the same light as a lot of people, because it was not my first Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy. I am getting it at launch.
Hell yeah!
I can't afford not to.
Well, and here's the thing: is that what I'm loving about everything that I've seen is how much they're just amping it up. And they're going to make every single, and this is only like the first 10 hours of the original game, but they're going to make you're going to spend more time with the little characters. And then there is that scene at the end of the last trailer where they showed Cloud, Barrett, and Tifa looking off at the plate having dropped. And of course that trailer came out on 9/11, and it really reminded me of that, the weight and the impact of this company framed, these terrorists. They are terrorists. I mean, let's not cut hairs. They were terrorists blowing up these reactors, and they framed them by blowing up their own city just to, get rid of them.
Right.
And just blame it on them. And they killed, thousands. Possibly even tens of thousands, and it's going to make that scope mean so much more. And that's going to be the tipping point in the game where it's going to carry so much more weight. You lost characters that you've been with. You've lost thinking about all the different innocent people who you didn't interact with. All these people are dead, and it's because of this corporation. And I cannot wait for it. It's absolutely one of my most hyped games. There's going to be almost no way that they can live up to the hype that I personally set it at, but they're getting damn close to what I think it should be. And to have have Last of Us Part 2 and that game, like I'm going to be still emotionally tired by the time I start FF7. I was hoping, the original rumors that Last of Us Part 2 was February 28th, and I was like, oh man, that's going to give me like 3 days, because I'm going to try and get that week of FF7 off. That way I can get it. I can be here starting it when it arrives at my front door from Amazon, and then, be playing it for the next 3-4 days straight.
Do we have a rough runtime estimate of what the first installment of Final Fantasy VII is going to be?
The only thing has been a rough average of what they've been saying is that they wanted to make, they've taken just the Midgar section and they wanted to make it its own full-length Final Fantasy experience. And they just estimated, like, you're thinking an average of 30 hours. That's what we're trying to do. So, 30, 40 hours.
If you do all the side stuff, 45 to 50 hours,
sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
If you grind, maybe a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool.
And I mean, it's not going to be a big Skyrim 100-hour opus. It's gonna. I like how they're going to make their game. They're going to do their thing with it, and they don't even know. They haven't. If they know, they haven't released how many parts the whole story is going to take place in. But I like that they're making this wider and bigger and taking that time to tell a better story.
Right.
Which,
tell a story that we can actually understand.
well, this guy are sick. Yeah, I mean, that's not the fact that, like, the first game, the original game, does have a good story. It does follow a good plot. But it's not very well translated or localized.
Right.
And that does hurt it a little bit, because it's more left on, some of the stuff is more implied and not just given to you. Whereas, I mean, you don't even know who or what Sephiroth really is until, like, the end of the Midgar section. And they're like, oh, hey, he was this dude. And then Cloud tells you all about him. It's like, hey, we did this thing. And now we're going to be seeing him in visions, and it's going to be plaguing Cloud. There's going to be more stuff that they add in. I think I heard Mark Hamill in the trailer as Don Canario. It sounds just like him. He hasn't said a damn thing, so I'm wondering, like, is this you? Is it really you, Mark Hamill, or is it just a sound-alike? Because if it is, we found the new Joker. I mean, for when Mark Hamill doesn't want to do it anymore.
Right.
Because he sounds just like Mark Hamill. But I know I'm super excited for that as well. No, Last of Us really took my breath away last week. They released a video. A lot of people, the only thing that I don't like is that people are like, we played it for like 3 or 4 hours, but they just keep showing the exact same gameplay, the 10-minute gameplay that got released. And I think that was like kind of like you guys can show this and talk about it. I don't know why they wouldn't let them just capture their own and talk about it. I mean, granted, they don't want to show everybody the 4 hours. I totally get that. But you got to see all the new stuff implemented, and I do hope that everything is completely ready to go, and I hope we don't get a delay, because I want to play this story and figure out what's going on as soon as possible. So before we get out of here, there was a few news things I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
First and foremost, PS4 crossplay now exists for all developers. It's out of beta. They haven't announced it, but it came out through Who did it come out via? It was some a Wired article. Wired talked about it. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is the first new game to have it, and then any game going forward can now do it. So that's cool. Sony boss Sean Layden departs just suddenly. He's out.
Do we have any actual information on that?
It's unclear whether or not he's retiring or simply moving on, but the news was shared by a Japanese press release. It's with great emotion that we announced that Worldwide Studios chairman Sean Layden will be departing Sony Interactive Entertainment, which, I mean, last year at the Game Awards, we got Phil Spencer, Sean Layden, and Reggie Fils-Aimé, and now Reggie and Sean are gone. It's like man, Spencer's the only guy left, because I mean these were the faces of these companies for the American audience, and now Reggie retired. We don't know what's going on with Sean. I did see another article. It's PlayStation Insider. Now, this is grain of salt here. PlayStation has seen a lot of departures and shakeups on the executive level lately, including Sean Layden, who just left, and he had also been at Sony for over 32 years.
Wow,
it's a long time. That said, upon the announcement, rumors of scuttlebutt of a power struggle within PlayStation hierarchy, particularly between Layden and PlayStation head honcho Jim Ryan, emerged. These reports have been making their way around the internet for a little bit now, but then his departure brought them back under the limelight. Layden's departure, according to this new report from GameDaily.biz, who spoke to an employee at a major third-party publisher with direct knowledge of the situation. Quote. According to the confusion and turmoil within PlayStation is seeping out into its operations. Apparently, Sony's global reorganization is causing problems, and which is turn making issues for the PS5. Quote, this is the least amount of clarity we've ever had on a new console this close to transition. I believe that the global restructuring is exponentially exacerbating an already difficult process of transitioning to a new generation, and now we're getting nervous. So, I don't know. There seems to be okay, new console coming out. There's a lot of shakeups, and maybe there's not enough communication going on. I hope that this doesn't bleed into the product. I mean, these guys have had these dev kits for a while. They're already making their games, and I mean, they're at a mode right now where PlayStation can enter the next generation with a really big, bonus users coming in.
Well, and anything hardware related should already be 100% taken care of.
Yeah,
you would think. It
would just be the kind of communication that the Sony would have with its third-party developers with this new console.
Right.
Other PlayStation news: PlayStation Now price drops. It cuts in half to $9.99 to compete with Game Pass, and it launches. The prices are effective as of October 1st, and they now have dropped down to $10 a month, and down. The yearly cost is now $60 compared to the previous price of $100. And then joining the PlayStation Now catalog of games, now you can download all the PS4 games to your hardware, and you stream the PS2 and PS3 titles. That's still the case, but you can now, joining the PS4 catalog, are Grand Theft Auto 5, God of War, Infamous Second Son, and Uncharted 4.
Okay.
It says these games will be available from October 1st until January 2nd, which I don't know why you would just cycle them out that quickly, but okay. I would hope that if you had it downloaded, you wouldn't have to get them again, but I don't know.
Right.
Grand Theft Auto Online is included, but only for the downloaded version. You can't stream that and go online with it, I guess. Nintendo's already working on a new Nintendo Switch Lite because of the.
I saw that today.
Because of the Joy-Con drift. The drift exists in this model, which I kind of figured it would because they've been making this new Switch model for a while, and they didn't really address the drift model or the drift thing from the original one until just 2 months ago. So apparently they have filed a new patent under a model which is BKE HD H002, and the light is the 001. So that doesn't say much other than they're working on something new.
Right.
I haven't encountered any drift with my Joy-Cons.
I haven't either.
Now a lot of people have. I'm not saying it hasn't, and Nintendo will fix them for free. You send in your Joy-Cons, they'll fix them. But I even watched a teardown. I can't remember who did it, so I do apologize. The YouTuber's name escapes me at the moment, but I'm sure you guys probably know who I'm talking about. But he tore it down, and he showed you, hey, this is the same Joy-Con component that went bad. So, and it's funny, he released that, and then literally like 2 days later, this came out. Or like the whole like, hey, people are having drift issues. And he got it and did that teardown like the first day or first weekend. So, and within a couple days, people already experiencing drift. That's kind of bad.
Yeah.
And lastly, do you want to play a little game? The top 10 best-selling PS4 and Xbox One exclusives. And it's going to be a little bit difficult, maybe. But what we also have, we have the exclusives, and then we also have the overall. So that's kind of more telling. So, what do you think is the number one top-selling PS4 game? And it's got to be exclusive to that console. Exclusive.
God of War?
No. You're close.
Man, I don't know. That's tough.
All right.
Sony... That's tough for PlayStation, especially because they have so many exclusives that sold very, very well last year.
All right, so I'm gonna go through the top 10. This is all time. Okay. Number 10, MLB 18, the show.
Okay.
Number 9, MLB 19, the show. Number 8, MLB 17, the show.
Okay.
Number 7, Infamous Second Son.
Okay.
Number 6, Days Gone. Of course, that just came out this year, so that's pretty good. That's in number 6 of all time. Mm-hmm. Bloodborne is 5. 4 is Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Mm-hmm. 3 is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay.
That's really good for a new IP.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is God of War. Number 1 is Spider-Man.
Oh, damn it! I forgot about Spider-Man.
And switching over to the Xbox One. Shot in the Dark. What do you think's number 1?
Gears of War 4.
Negatory. I'll give you one more shot before I run down the top 10.
Forza something.
Negative. Okay, so number 10 is State of Decay 2.
Okay.
9 is Forza 7. Forza Motorsport 7. 8 is Forza Motorsport 6. 7 is Sea of Thieves. I almost said Sea of Thieves right there. Yeah. 6 is Forza Motorsport 5. 5 is Forza Horizon 4. 4 is Gears of War 4.
Okay.
3 is Forza Horizon 3. There's a pattern here, isn't there?
Yeah.
Number 2 is the Halo, the Master Chief Collection. And number 1 is Halo 5, Guardians.
See, I didn't think Halo 5 sold very well. That's why I didn't pick it. Otherwise, it would have been a give me.
It is a number 1. Now, the top 10 overall best-selling Xbox One games. There's only one game, and I'm just going to spoil it, kind of. The number 1 best-selling game for Xbox One is also the number 1 selling game for PS4.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
No. Same company, though.
Oh, Grand Theft Auto. That's the duh.
So, number 10 is Destiny 2. This is for the Xbox One. Destiny 2 is number 10. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is number 9. Star Wars Battlefront 1 is number 8.
The better of the two.
Number 7, Battlefield 1. Number 6, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I'm noticing a trend. Every single one of these. Number 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. That's awesome. Number 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
Okay.
Number 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Number 2, Call of Duty World War 2.
Awesome. That game was awful, by the way. Awful.
Awful. Never did. Again, never really have played the Call of Duties. I did get Advanced Warfare because I have the Advanced Warfare Xbox One. I think it looks awesome, and I even tried playing some of the campaign, and I had some fun with it, playing the campaign. It was like, okay, it's an action movie. It's an action movie game. Number one, of course, is Grand Theft Auto 5. Now we're gonna switch over to PS4, and I already told you what the number one is. This one is a little telling. You see some of the same ones, but not in the same order, and there's a couple different ones in there as well. Number 10 is Battlefield 1.
Okay.
Number 9 is NBA 2K18.
Sports.
Sports. No, number 8 is God of War. Notice this. The Xbox top selling of all games, none of the Xbox exclusives are in the best selling. And a lot of these games were released before the Game Pass thing kind of started to trend in the last couple of years.
Right.
But God of War made it to number 8 of all time across the board for the system.
Since last February.
Yeah. Number 7, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Number 6, Marvel Spider-Man. So Spider-Man is another exclusive. You can only get it on the PS4. It's the number 1 selling exclusive of all time, and number 6 across the entire board, dealing with the Call of Duties and everything. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's great.
Number 5, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. I had to count the number of lines because the next one is Black Ops 4. No, number 4. Okay. Number 3, Call of Duty World War II. Number 2, Red Dead Redemption 2. And number 1, Grand Theft Auto 5. Interesting little stats there. And, as I said, it's also interesting to note that Sony, PlayStation, has 2 of its highest selling exclusives of all time cut into the fat of the yearly sports games, yearly shooters, which is great news for the studios over there at Sony. And I can only hope for the same kind of success for Last of Us Part 2, because who would have thought that a God of War reboot would have been that successful? Who would have thought that Spider-Man would have been that successful? I mean, it's Spider-Man. It's going to sell regardless, but that successful?
Well, I think, not to go too deep with it, but one of the things that I think helped this last Spider-Man game so much was you have fans like you and myself that the nostalgia factor hit real hard when we thought back to playing the Spider-Man game on our PlayStation 1, and you're web slinging around New York, and you've got Stan Lee constantly chiming in about what you're doing. That may not be the case for a lot of people, but that was for sure the case for me. Because there was a lot of days that I sat on my couch or the living room floor playing that Spider-Man game.
They did this new one right, man.
It was flawless in every way.
I was more than happy and even surprised with how good it was. I thought it was going to be good. You and me did episodes like over a year ago, hyping it up. Wow, this game looks great. I hope it's just an ounce as good as what it looks, and it was that in spades. Because what it brought the fun factor. All these costumes, guess what? It don't matter. Lock them as you go, change them as you want, whatever. That doesn't matter. They didn't care. But the story they told, Insomniac, which Sony now owns, they bought Insomniac straight out, which is awesome. Like now they're like, you with us making this game. Go make the second one now, please. So now we're gonna get that, hopefully even with more money, with more backing. They got the Sony machine behind them, but they were able to tell, and it's the same that I felt with The Last of Us, with the new God of War. It was it was better storytelling than what you kind of would have expected out of a superhero game.
Absolutely.
And they brought that, and I call it Sony storytelling. And a lot of people criticize, saying that that God of War didn't revolutionize storytelling, and it didn't revolutionize it. It was just good. It was better than what had come before it, as far as in that series goes.
I think even though God of War didn't revolutionize storytelling as far as telling a new story or a story that hasn't been told before, what they did revolutionize is the way that it was delivered. So, if people want to debate that, obviously they can. The saying goes, in for a penny, in for a pound. God of War deserves the praise that it got. Not because I'm a fanboy. I lost faith in that franchise a long time ago, and the newest God of War game made me feel things and experience emotions that most video games don't allow me to experience. So that's that.
No, and I completely agree with you, dude. The level of storytelling, they stepped it up from where that series was once before. They completely stepped it up, and it put that game in Marvel. The Marvel Spider-Man. That story was the best Spider-Man story in any movie, cartoon, and we've had a lot of really great movies. And the Into the Spider-Verse was great. This game is great. We're almost in a Spider-Man renaissance with how many cool stuff we're getting, and it's all different with this same character. And I can't wait to see what they do with it again. And
absolutely.
And with The Last of Us Part 2, I can only and hope for as much success. That the hype at the first one, the first one is at that cusp. It is at that very end, and it got remastered. And a lot of people who were on the 360 that didn't have a PS3, they played it, they loved it. So what I'm hoping is that you bring even more people who never even thought about it. Last of Us Remastered is free this month on PS Plus. Go get it. There's no reason not to when it's free. If you're a Plus member, that game is worth every ounce of free. That game is worth every ounce of $60.
You should. Yeah, I was gonna say you still should just go buy it. Don't download it for free on PlayStation. Just go buy it.
Oh, dude, you can get it for cheap now. It's like, I think it's like $20 or $15. It's something like that. It's super cheap. You can go. It's in the greatest hits thing. You can go grab it. But dude, I think that's gonna do it for us here today. It's getting a little late. It's time to go and start winding down. And I got to eat dinner yet. But Tyler, thank you so much for joining me this week and chatting with me. It's been such a treat to get to catch up with you, my friend.
As always, thanks for having me. I like sitting. It's always a great time to just sit and relax and talk video games. You, Mike, and I are also passionate about video games. If I could pan around and show you kind of my setup right now, it looks like in South Park, the World of Warcraft or the Lord of the Rings episode, or it's the World of Warcraft episode where the guy's sitting on the he's got Cheetos all over him. That's basically what my throne room looks like right now, because I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn.
Hell yeah.
Like so hard. The Baldur's Gate remasters are coming out like next week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dive right into that. The Outer Worlds is coming up. That's another one that thanks to Game Pass I'll be able to play right away. I did confirm my Stadia pre-order, so when that gets here in November, you'll be the first one. You and Mike will be the first two that kind of get my review of it.
Hell yeah, dude, that's awesome, and I can't wait for that. And of course, here on the show, we are going to start doing it every other week due to the changes kind of going on with me and Mike and things kind of going on in our lives. You're still going to get some content from us. It's going to be every other Wednesday. And we may not live stream it. It may just be uploaded to our YouTube. Our YouTube is a one-stop shop. You get our video podcast. There's an audio only version for all those guys that just want to put us on in the background. And then there's also like our gameplay videos that we do. I'm a little behind now. I'm officially behind. I was doing 2 episodes a week, and last week I did 1, and this week I have not done any due to all the stuff. I swear to you, it is Brando's honor that this year, at some point, even if it's got to bleed in the next year, I'm gonna complete the Mass Effect trilogy as a complete playthrough for the YouTube channel. That's going to happen. Of course, you can also find us on all the podcast places. Yeah, search your favorite one. We should be there. I've seen our top 3, our top 4 favorites. Our number 1 favorite of people downloading us is Other. So if you have Other, please download us on that. That's awesome. I don't know what Other is. It's all encompassing. But we're also on Spotify. That's number 2, and then there's like Castbox in there. And then Android Player, whatever, dude. We're on Google Play, we're on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio now. We're on Stitcher, all across the board. We're on all those places. Go check us out, and then link up with us on our socials. Game Addicts Play on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I've been a little bit more active on Twitter lately. I'm kind of getting into it a little bit more. It's kind of cool because there's an ever rotating surge of new weird topics. Sometimes it's newsworthy. and other times it's just like things you would not expect just to be trending. Like there was a topic one day, things to shove in your butt, and it was just a whole people just chiming in. You know, like suppositories was one of them. That was pretty like tame, but then there was ones that were not tame. And I just logged in one day and went, oh, this is trending. Okay, let's see what quirky things people are sticking in there. So, never really got into Twitter, but it's been amusing for the last month that I've been trying.
Twitter, I don't like it. I think it is an awful social media platform.
It's been entertaining, to say the least. But I mean, if you're pushing a podcast, if you're pushing something creative, it's also a great place to share it too, because it gets around.
Right.
So
I just don't like the amount of spam.
There's a lot
involved with Twitter.
There's a lot.
It is 100% spam. I logged into my Twitter the other day just to kind of see, because I follow a lot of influential people on my Twitter.
Yeah.
And I logged in, and my entire Twitter feed was just spam.
I logged on my Twitter, and there was a video playing. Yeah.
What are you watching there, Brando?
It was coverage about that female cop that shot the dude laying on his couch eating ice cream.
She got convicted. She's a murderer.
They sentenced her to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching. There was like a live thing from that, kind of recapping the things that happened today. So I was like, okay, what's going on with this today? And while I was waiting on you, and then I opened it up. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna see what's going on in the news. Oh, live playing videos like on the podcast. So that's and of course now I'm using this mic, so it was probably like super loud, you know. So apologize if I damaged all of our listeners' ears. Of course, you're hearing different audio from me, so it wasn't that loud for you, Tyler. But yeah, dude, thank you once again for coming on the show. It's always a treat. I can't wait to talk to you again here soon. Hopefully, sooner than later. Hopefully we can make another chance to get together and talk. But as I said, go check us out on all that other stuff I told you to check us out on. I'm not going to repeat it. Until next time, I've been Brando. He has been Tyler. Oh, I did it for you, but you could do it. You do it.
That's okay. He's Brandon and I'm Tyler.
You did it too. Okay, awesome. Anyway, this has been episode 138 of the Game Addicts podcast. Until next time, guys, see you later. Game on. All that good stuff. Later.